And you have an outline in the bulletin, about 8 points about a kingdom that cannot be shaken. And we've had read from Hebrews chapter 12, verses 18 through 29. And we appreciate you being here, and I trust the outline will be helpful to you, not only as we go through this, but as also in the days ahead when you think back and look back and think about the truths of God's eternal Word. But let me tell you something. Jane, my wife Jane, told me that in looking at the internet, on the internet, she discovered that she and I can learn the Korean language in 10 days. 10 days, that's what it said on there. Oh, they don't know me. Jane could do that, but they don't know how long it would take for me to learn. But anyway, that's the advertisement, and I thought you would get a lot of laugh about that, because it takes a long time, I'm sure, and we thank God that you do know that language, if you do, and can use it in this way. Well, a kingdom that cannot be shaken. You have heard and read and watched the reports coming from now the country of Chile, in which there was an 8.8 earthquake. It was about 200 miles southwest of the capital city of Chile, called Santiago, Chile. About 200 miles from there is the epicenter. Well, when we read about that, and it just happened after midnight on Saturday morning, February the 27th. That's yesterday, and then 2 Saturdays from today. Now I smell it very clearly now. The gas. Pardon? It's okay. Okay. We just want to make sure. Okay, fine. Anyway, and we received an email from our daughter, Kay, in Chile, and we share that with you, and she writes about dear friends and family. Thank you so much for your abundant prayers on our behalf that you have prayed in the past. And several have asked about that time at 3:34 in the morning on that Saturday morning, February the 27th, in Santiago, in the country of Chile. Now here, it would have been about 12:34 in Urbana, Illinois. About 3 hours. They're about 3 hours ahead of us there. Well, she said the past week has seemed like 10 weeks. We've slept little. We've experienced wide ranges of emotions. Our 20th floor apartment, and they just have a spectacular view of the Andes Mountains when they look out from the 20th stories up, and it feels way too high above the earth below. Now, on that day, we were jolted awake by tremendous shaking and rocking as if we were on a fast-moving, rumbling roller coaster. Now, Chile is known for its frequent tremors. They have a number of these throughout each year. And but right away, her husband Leo, Kay, her little daughter Sophia, but particularly Kay and Leo, they recognized that this one was a very different movement. Bolting out of bed, they weren't even able to, as they came out of their bedroom, to even stand up straight in the hallways, moving them from one wall to the other. And then trying to avoid the falling bookcases. And so they grabbed Sophia out of her crib, and they could hear glass breaking in the kitchen, and then the sound in another room of the wall, the shelves just ripping off the walls. And then they found that there came a slight lull in the movement, kind of a calm, a little lull in the movement, and they'd hoped the quake might be subsiding, but within seconds it struck with more powerful force than ever before. Well, death seemed absolutely imminent. We are ready to meet our Maker, but in that moment we just wanted to survive. Sinking to the carpet, they made a little huddle. There was little Sophia, Kay over her, and Leo. And they prayed out to God that He would stretch out His hand and, in fact, miraculously, somehow calm the earth below them. Well, Kay said she was frozen to the floor over Sophia, but Leo, her husband, he grabbed a formula and a water and a bottle and a blanket, and she ran to find her glasses, and she said as she hunted for her glasses that she had knocked off a nightstand and underneath the bed, and God just seemed to put the glasses in her hand, and away she went. Well, we now know that when you have an earthquake, you're supposed to open the main door immediately. I never knew that. I don't know about you, but the main door to the residence or the apartment should come open. Well, she said ours was jammed shut, and we tried as we tried to leave. Leo pulled, and finally it opened. And the long trek down 20 flights of stairs, baby in tow, seemed unending. But we made it, and we emerged into the lobbyway and outdoors of the big apartment building, and there were hundreds of people already gathering, and that's about 3:30 in the morning their time. Well, there was pastors Carmen and Kareem who live on the 8th floor. They came running up to us and hugged us, and we located friends and neighbors, and there we were that we spent in those dark hours outside, the tremors still happening, and still we were filled with assurance that God in His sovereignty is in control, and we were filled with hope. Now, for you and me, no matter who we are, no matter where we are, we want to find a safe place to stand when the earth begins to shake and sway. We want stability. We want something, strength to be able to hold us up. Now, I'm indebted to a Mr. Duncan and many others who have helped me with Hebrews chapter 12, verses 18 through 29, and the theme, a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Now, the writer of Hebrews speaks about this. Look in verse 28 again. Hebrews 12:28. Therefore, since we are receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken. Say that phrase with me. A kingdom that cannot be shaken. Let's say it together. A kingdom that cannot be shaken. Let us be thankful, and even so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. Then notice in the next verse 29. For our God is a consuming fire. Let's say it together. For our God is a consuming fire. Now, when we think in terms of this scripture, particularly verses 18 through 24, what a contrast between the people's terrified approach to God when they approached God as far as Mount Sinai was concerned, and then their joyful approach at Mount Zion. What a difference Jesus has made. You see, before Jesus came on this earth, God may have seemed distant and threatening. But after Jesus came, God welcomes us through Jesus Christ into His presence. So we need to accept God's invitation. Notice in verse 22. You see it in verse 22? But you have come to Mount Zion, to the heavenly Jerusalem, the city of the living God. You have come to thousands upon thousands of angels in joyful assembly. Now, as Christians right now, we are citizens